Hey, Cousin Sal here, bringing you an exclusive FanDuel Sportsbook offer for the big game. All new users are getting an exclusive 55-1 odds boost on either team to win the big game. Max bet $5. That means you could turn a $5 bet into $275 if your pick wins. Sign up today at FanDuel.com/Sal.
21 plus and present in New Jersey. New users only. Must wager on designated boost market. $10 first deposit required. Max bonus $275. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey, Cousin Sal here, bringing you an exclusive FanDuel Sportsbook offer for the big game. All new users are getting an exclusive 55-1 odds boost on either team to win the big game. Max bet $5. That means you could turn a $5 bet into $275 if your pick wins. Sign up today at FanDuel.com/Sal.
21 plus and present in New Jersey. New users only. Must wager on designated boost market. $10 first deposit required. Max bonus $275. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
Sometimes you've just got to get some quality me time. Like right now, when you get away for a few hours to Kildare Village, because we've got hundreds of new arrivals, including new boutiques like Sandro and Maj. Escape to Kildare Village and get front row ready for a new season with a new look and a new smile on your face. A little me time goes a long way at Kildare Village, where there's something extraordinary every day.
ChristopherMedia.net.
From Asthma Core Studios near Detroit, Michigan, it's Unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
Welcome to Unregimented number 284. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
And I'm Rich.
You guys got your June brackets filled out? For there's 20 candidates that are going to be on stage at one time this month, all debating each other. How the hell is that going to work?
They should build an octagon.
They get Jerry Springer's security.
Yeah. Build an octagon. The last two people standing get to go to the primaries.
Right.
Tom Cruise and Justin Bieber can be the exhibition fight before it.
We thought it was like a circus, and we all made fun of it when the Republicans had, 12 people up on stage?
Yeah. To which the Democrats have now said, hold my beer.
Absolutely. We can top that.
We can give you twice as much. They damn near have. There's 22 candidates, and 20 will be at the debate?
There's 23 candidates.
Yeah, one more, and that's literally double what the Republicans had.
Well, to be fair, I think they did filter some people out to get it down to 12. The Republicans did. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how you have a debate with that many people without first teaming up.
It's going to be a shit show. I mean, they always turn into people talking over each other, right? There's going to be 20 fucking people trying to talk over each other.
I think that really depends on how much the moderator rules with an iron fist. Unless you have Trump in 2016. There was no shutting him up, if you guys remember.
Well,
we got to give the moderator a straight gun.
Honestly, maybe 2 hours. How long could you possibly make this thing and expect people to watch it?
Yeah, because in 2 hours, how many questions can 20 people answer? 2?
Right. Well, I mean, just break it down. Let's take 2 hours and then just say, let's cut for, editing and questions and probably people's applause, even though they tell them, please don't applaud. Every time somebody's going to, wave the flag or just right or something, everyone's going to bark like seals. So cut that down to an hour. Now take an hour and divide that in 20. So everybody gets 5 minutes, but not 5 consecutive minutes. I'll probably have a minute for each question, 5 questions total.
Yeah, and I can't even imagine there's going to be okay, you get a minute. You get a minute. Now you get a minute for rebuttal. Everybody can't have a rebuttal. That would just be, it'd literally be one question for 2 hours. Unless they're going to be unless they're just going to be like, this debate is, tell us why you out of 23 people, 20 of whom are here, want to be president.
Yeah.
Which is stupid, because they're going to say, go to my website to see my agenda.
We've never had in American politics really this, not in televised, I should say, American politics, have we had a true debate-style debate. We've had something that we call a debate because we put people on stage on a podium and sometimes they talk at each other, but it doesn't resemble anything like what we even think of as formal debate, much less the informal debate that people have, because they're not having a lot of direct conversation.
No, they're more like question and answer sessions.
Right. It's like it's a group interview, and the more people that you put on that stage, the further away from that you get, because now it's just scattershot. They're not going to have 5 questions and ask everybody the same question. It's going to be, a few people that they already know are like keen on some issue, whether it's, the environment or gun control. They're going to ask those people those questions. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they could surprise us, if they wanted to actually make it something that resembles a debate, then you ask one person one question, and then everybody else gets a chance to buzz in to rebut. You get one rebuttal, and whoever gets their rebuttal first wins. I mean, I know it sounds like a ridiculous game show, but to me, it would actually make more sense than what we're going to witness, which is a 20-person interview.
If we merged the debate and Jeopardy.
I honestly... Because you can't have a rebuttal from everyone, but whoever thinks they have the best one and is quickest on the draw, I mean, that's
buzzes in first.
Yeah, I'm serious. Like, I'd rather see that.
It's already a carnival atmosphere anyways, right? Let's just go nuts with it.
Look, whatever. I'm not going to watch the whole thing, honestly. I'm going to see whatever the society has deemed the best clips from it on Twitter. Because if I want to know somebody's issues, a stance on something, I have way more information available to me on their website. And I can just take this list of 20 people that I'm looking at here on NBC News' website and just go to each one of their websites and read about their platform and decide for myself. I'm never going to get that from the debate. I'm going to get little capsule answers, stuff that, stuff that they hope is going to be the video that I watch on Twitter the next day.
I'm just wondering if it's going to be a handful of people who, like, let's say Biden, Bernie, maybe Beto, whatever, and just a handful of people who are like, okay, in their mind, there's maybe them and a few other people who are considered front runners, and they're just going to focus on tearing those people down and pretty much ignore the rest of the people on the stage. In other words, by
not be like, nobody's talking to you, Eric Swalwell.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry. Did somebody say Hickenlooper? No, nobody said Hickenlooper. Nobody knows who the fuck you are.
I can kind of see it being that way. Like, oh, I'm not even going to waste my time tearing you down. No one knows who the fuck you are, So it'll turn into high school eventually. The real question is, this is the first presidential debate post-Trump being elected.
Uh-huh.
Do you think he's... I don't want to say... I'm trying to think how to put this. Do you think he's affected politics so deeply in America that there's going to be people up there who try to, like, kind of ape his demeanor in debates, not necessarily by saying outlandish shit or trying to stir the shit pot, but by just being very forceful, talking over other people, interrupting other people, not shutting up when they're told to shut up?
No, I think they're gonna do their best to portray themselves as the least Trump-like.
Yes, Rich. Don't never forget. This is a lineup to be a hero. Like, save
Trump,
America.
I'm agreeing with you, but I don't think it's the way that you are portraying it. It's a reaction to Trump, but yeah, whoever is going to get the election, whoever's going to get the nomination is going to be the least Trump-like person.
Yes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I really no one sticks. I mean, obviously Biden, Bernie, Kamala Harris, people who have name recognition or are face recognition, they stick out, but no one really sticks out as, like, in my mind, as someone who's coming out and just leading the way with good ideas. I mean, it's been what now, 3-4 weeks in a row, Bill Maher's had candidates as his first interview, and the one who sticks out the most. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go. Yeah, I was Andrew Yang. I remember is one of them.
He's the one that sticks out the most in my mind, and it's not just because he was the last one on. It's because he actually went on.
He was the old.
He has a strategy.
Well, he actually went on and he made some valid points. Besides, we need to get Trump out of the White House.
Yes.
He
actually has ideas.
He actually put out a defense for universal basic income that actually made me go, I've never looked at it that way. Which is, you put $1,000 in the hands of a poor person, that money's going right back into the economy.
Oh, yeah.
You put $1,000 in the hands of Bill Maher, he's going to save it for 12 months and buy a $12,000 pair of cufflinks at the end of the year. He doesn't need that.
Yeah. While he agreed on that point, they both agreed on that point. He also says that the only way for it to actually work is to give $1,000 to everyone.
Yeah.
Just flat out, everyone. You're an American citizen. Here's your grand.
But I could retort to him and go either way. 12 grand's going into the economy. One's just going at one time, and the rest is going, incrementally throughout the year.
I understand,
but
how many people?
True. I mean, even if it sits in a savings account, like somebody's investing that money.
I thought he had a very good point with, look, we've tried trickle down for going on 40 years now. How's that worked out? Maybe we need to start trying trickle up economics. We know that poor people, $1,000 a month might be the difference between them going grocery shopping and buying the actual groceries they need versus, bullshit. And I'm like, I'm not sold on it 100%. I'm not going to go that far, but I'll say, I agree with that point. I can understand where he's coming from, and it's a valid point that tends to get lost. It's like anytime someone brings up $15 an hour for a minimum wage, the first thing you hear is, EMTs don't make that. Well, they should make a lot more than $15 an hour in the first place. Why isn't that your argument? To me, it's a bullshit way of changing the subject without addressing the argument itself. It's like, Colin Kaepernick kneeled to protest police violence. He's disrespecting the troops. What? One has nothing to do with the other. Stop trying to connect dots and change the conversation.
Well, no. Right. They're not pointing out like, hey, there's other people working in your field in that region that are making, as much or even maybe even less than you. What they're saying is somebody else somewhere doing something entirely different has an entirely different experience and result.
I would like to defend the EMT argument, though, because where people are coming from on that is something not everybody can do. That is a specialized skill. You put me right in an ambulance. More. Yeah, no, I'm on there. I'm on the EMT side. It's the fast food workers. I'm not. You put me in an ambulance. I don't make it through the first night. I see body fluid that isn't mine. I'm just hurling my guts out. All right.
Sorry, I got the mental picture of you just puking all over a poor guy in the back of a fucking ambulance.
Yeah. But those people are all drunks.
But
I don't mean recreational drunks. I mean like professional.
but you can pick anybody off the street. You could teach a 16-year-old or a 75-year-old how to drop fries. That is not a specialized skill.
No, the specialized skill in working in that type of job is dealing with customers without cutting their fucking heads off and putting them in bowling bags.
Yes.
That's a specialized skill. And judging by how rude people are in food service and customer service, and don't get it twisted. I understand why they're rude, but I've worked them jobs too, and I couldn't I couldn't get away with being that rude, but how rude people are who work in those industries, they don't even bother to you can't even say hello. You're welcome when I say thank you. I pull up and I ask the person to drive through, how you doing today? Half time I get, what do you want?
Trust me, when I teach my training classes, it's one of the things I always bring up.
Wait a minute. Okay, guys.
Yeah, sorry, we're
not talking about customer service stuff. I mean, if we want to talk about universal basic income, I'm open for that. But I think I've made my stance clear on it.
I was just saying.
The fact is that we aren't ready for that. Look, socialism is like the big, I don't know. It's like the hot potato. Like nobody wants to admit to being socialist in any way because the Republican Party has effectively made it a bad word and equated it with things like communism and Nazis. And if we can't even get past that idea of accepting that socialism is just a way of doing things and we already experience it in our lives anyway in the U.S., we're not going to get to universal basic income. It's just not going to happen yet. We will get to the point where our economy and our society eventually demands that. That's my belief. We will get to that point. But just like any other larger problem, we don't deal with it until we get there. Humanity has a long history of crossing the bridge once they come to it.
I also think it's rewording something or repurposing a word to use it to bludgeon
socialism.
Yes, because we have socialist aspects of this country and have had for generations now. And it's just like when politicians say something like entitlement programs, like Medicare and Social Security. No. That's not an entitlement program. That's money we paid the fuck into.
Yeah.
Don't try to act like I'm saying give me free shit. I want my money back, motherfucker.
You send me a statement every year that tells you how much I put into that shit. Fuck you. That's mine.
There's so many of them that I can't even keep them straight now, but I want to say it was Hickenlooper that was, because I heard audio of it this week. He was talking to a group of people, supporters, Democrats, and he was explaining to them that if they want to win this, they can't talk about socialism. And the crowd started booing him. And it made me think, like, who's really driving this conversation? Like, Democrats are saying that socialism is a no-go. It's a non-starter, and they're going to avoid it like the plague. But I don't think they're hearing that from their supporters. They're hearing that from the Republicans. And they're playing this game like they have to convince somebody on Fox who watches Fox News to vote for a Democrat. When was that ever fucking going to happen anyway?
Because it's half of the country and you can't just discount them. Yes, it's not going to happen, but you can't. I get where they're coming from.
Nobody's talking about socialism. Discounting, though. Wait a minute. I'm framing this from the aspect of they are not talking about socialism because they want to appeal to that person.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They know what they're doing. It is, you bring up socialism, half of the country puts their fingers in their ears. La la la, I can't hear you.
There is a middle point, right? I mean, there is dismissing that half of the country like Hillary mistakenly did by calling them a basket of deplorables. And then there's adjusting your message to appeal to that person. I mean,
that's called politics.
Right, but it's not smart politics if you're adjusting a message against what your base wants in order to appeal to that minority of people who watch Fox News and might actually vote for a Democrat.
I think the only people that watch Fox
and then
News
you have to adjust for people who actually stroke out in the booth.
I think the only people that watch Fox News that might vote for a Democrat are people who are probably moderates or they watch Fox News for the morbid curiosity of what's being said on that channel. You know what I'm saying?
Terminal lung cancer. That's your demographic.
So how long do the doctors give you to live? Can you make it to November 2020? Okay, then we're going to stay on message with you. Oh, 6 months? Sorry, dude. You're fine.
Listen, it's just politics. I gotta move on.
I'll send flowers, you know. Well, I mean,
well, look,
I think we really need a candidate. I don't know how far this candidate would get, but we really need a candidate.
Andrew Yang
to do what Bill Maher has done and point out that, you know, we do have socialist elements of our government and our system, and they've been here for a long time. It's a hybrid system, and and you have to accept that. You can't just sit there and go, just because that word scares me, I'm going to ignore reality.
Right. Well, it was built to be a hybrid system. I mean, we took the best ideas from history and combined them into what we thought would be the best form of government.
Yes, we're not only supposed to be a melting pot of people, a melting pot of ideas as well.
Mm-hmm. With the idea that we keep adding to the pot. We keep taking in new ideas and changing as the society changes. Not having a concrete document. But to get back to your point, Rich, I agree with you. I liked a lot of what Andrew Yang has to say. I generally like a lot of what a lot of these candidates have to say. I don't think we have a lot of kooks spouting nonsense. I think we have a lot of people that are all clamoring for attention, understandably, because there's 23 of them, and you know, they're fucking politicians. They're going to do awkward things like make videos of them drinking a beer. Like, I sipped it, they spit it into a bucket as soon as they hit stop on the video. But who gives a fuck?
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies. After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
ChristopherMedia.net. Unregimented.
There are candidates that I have messages that I like, but a lot of Democrats in this country, probably most Democrats in this country, feel like the house is on fire and Andrew Yang is going to come over and evaluate them for black mold and say, in a few years, you're going to have a real problem on your hands. And they're like, yes, but the fire, can we put that out? And then so whoever comes with the biggest hose that looks like they have the best chance of putting out this house fire, that's who we're going to give our vote to. And it's unfortunate because there are a lot of issues that should be progressive issues, things that we need to start. You know, Andrew Yang putting UBI out there as a platform issue is brave and it's necessary. It's a losing issue for him. It's not going to help him, but I think he's doing it because he understands that this is something that we are going to face eventually, and it's best that we get a plan together now and get ahead of it.
Well, I think
But then that would be being proactive, and we don't do that.
I think he has...
Don't do proactive.
He has 2 bigger problems, I think, than his proposed... And he doesn't call it UBI. Of course, he's rebranded it as something else. I can't remember exactly what it's like. Something Income Freedom Act or something like that. In other words, typical political shit. I think his problems with the more progressive left and the
Wait, who's he that you're talking about?
Andrew Yang.
Oh, okay.
And the people to the far left is that he said, one, publicly, he's not in favor of prosecuting Trump even after he's out of office. And two, he said on Bill Maher, he has no interest in playing the identity politics game.
Oh, well, yeah. See ya.
And I mean, there is an element of the woke crowd, the progressive crowd, whatever you want to call them, the social vengeance warriors, whatever you want to call them, that they are still beating that identity politics drum way hard. And then, of course, there's a lot of people people from the middle, there's even people on the right who are like, if Trump committed a crime, just because he's president doesn't make him above the law. If he's out of office, prosecute his ass.
Well,
I think those are going to be the two stumbling blocks for him more than UBI.
I agree with them on identity politics. On the issue of Trump, I think I took it more as he just doesn't want to make that an issue. He's not going to run on impeaching Trump or holding this man responsible or jailing him. I think he just doesn't want to make that a platform issue, and that's fair. I didn't take it as his message being that he thinks the president is above the law or should never be charged with the crime. It's just, why run on that? Why not just beat the motherfucker and make it a moot point? And then there's always time to talk about it afterward. After the Democrats win the election, hopefully, then we can have plenty of time to talk about what the fuck we want to do with the old Donnie.
Well, whether or not here's where we get into intent versus impact. Whether or not that's what he was saying. Like, I'm not going to run on that issue. That's not going to be what I'm basing my campaign on. It's not being reported that way. Fox News has taken this and ran with it and basically baited the hook with it. And
unless they have something that I haven't heard from him, he hasn't said like, "Oh, I believe that the president is protected." That he's not spouting these ideas that the Republicans have for 2 years now.
Well, this is the Fox News headline from 5 hours ago. Andrew Yang rebukes 2020 Dem rivals calling for Trump's prosecution after presidency. And then there's another article from 2 hours ago. Yang says Trump shouldn't be prosecuted once he leaves office. Now, whether or not that's what he intended to say, we all know that with news that has a bent to it, that has an agenda behind it, they're going to twist his words and bury him with this. And now, whether people will buy it or not, that's up to them. They have to do the footwork and not just read a headline and make a decision based on that. They have to go and see what he said, see if there's a video or audio of it, the context and how he said it. And I don't think I just don't think a lot of people have the patience or will to do that, because he's not a front runner.
This isn't going to be the issue that sinks his campaign. He just isn't. Let's face it. The fact that he's Asian is going to sink his campaign. I don't care how fucking progressive Democrats are. They're like, we want white daddy to save us.
And that blows my mind. If that's the reality of the situation, I don't think I would have a problem voting for him. And I guess I'm considered firmly, a centrist these days. I don't know, but I don't care that he's Asian. And if that's really an issue for people who are supposedly so enlightened, maybe they need to look in the mirror and see how enlightened they really are. If you want to say that he doesn't have the proper experience, he's got outlandish ideas, sure, fine, whatever. But let's just get right down to it. Japanese Empire did pretty fucking well, and because you're Asian, you can't run.
It's the same thing with the women candidates. The men are polling higher. A lot of the women are starting to come up in the polls, and again, these are all year and a half out polls. So the white men are polling higher, and it's not implied. There are actual longtime Democrat voters who are saying, we just want somebody we wanted to go back to what we traditionally see in the White House, which is a sane white man. And sure, I'd vote for a woman or an Asian or whoever else. I'm not, I'm colorblind, but I want to make sure that, people in Nebraska vote for this man too. So it's not about being prejudiced against the class or race that might be running for president. It's about being prejudiced against the other people in this country that
it does say a lot about
that might not vote for that woman or that Asian.
That does say a lot about people in this country, that they are more comfortable voting for a reality show host.
Oh, we forget we had 8 years of black president
versus a woman or someone who's not white. Wow, yeah. Maybe we do need to scrap the public education system in this country.
Yeah, I mean, look, we did have a black president, but we had a black president, and that man was exceptional. So, I mean, sure, like when Eminem became popular, a lot more white people decided to start rapping and dyeing their hair, but that didn't make Eminem any less exceptional at what he did. But he's kind of a fluke.
I'd say fluke the first time, but what about the second time?
Oh, the reelect? No, I'm saying that anyway, I'm trying to phrase this. I'm coming off as something that I'm trying to portray, and I'm realizing that I'm coming off quite racist.
No, you're not coming off as racist. You're trying to explain the mindset of someone who has, God damn it, what do they call it? Unconscious bias,
right?
That an Asian isn't going to beat Trump, so we can't run an Asian, no matter how good his ideas are. And a woman's not going to beat Trump because, so we have to fight fire with fire and put a white male against Trump. And it's not racist for you to say there are people that feel that way. And there's fucking 300 million plus people in this fucking country. I'm sure there's more than one or two that feel that way.
No, but the way that I was phrasing it as if I was speaking for them, and I just realized, there's horrible things coming out of my mouth that I'm phrasing as my own thoughts. I just wanted to be clear on that. When I say, because to say that Obama is a fluke is like a horribly racist thing to say. But I believe that there are even Democrats who think that.
If Obama's a fluke, what the fuck? What is Trump? A fart that push too hard and shit yourself? Jesus Christ.
You could argue Trump was the pendulum swinging the other way.
Yeah, and I mean that's something that we've talked about, and it's equal and opposite reaction, but it's more. But let's be honest here, that's more of the people on the right perceiving Obama as some sort of radical Muslim who was a Manchurian candidate groomed to become president by the global elite and put here to ruin America, when he was a centrist Democrat.
Yes.
I mean, flat out. You look at, that's not up for debate. You have what he did for 8 years. It's in the history books now. And as much as both sides want to pull a very Stalin-esque move and start rewriting the history books, I still have a little bit of hope there's enough people in this country who go, no, bullshit. I was alive. I was there. He was not some radical leftist who came in and took your guns and enslaved white people. You know what I'm saying? So for them to go, well, we had to elect Trump to counter Obama, that's just them rationalizing their decision to support a fucking moron.
Agreed.
Yeah, a moron who now this week has said not only is colluding with Russia not a crime, he would welcome it again. For that matter, any country.
Welcome it again? He's admitting that it happened once before if he used that exact word.
Aaron, he actually said he would welcome dirt from any foreign government on any of his opponents. That's actually what he said.
Yeah, but if he said again, he literally said that word.
No, he didn't say.
I'm not. I'm not quoting him.
Oh, no, I thought that was.
He was asked if he got information from a foreign government that was dirt on an opposition research on a Democratic opponent, what would he do? Would he use it? And he said, absolutely. And they asked, well, you wouldn't go to the FBI with it? And he said, no, absolutely not. Why would I go to the FBI?
I mean, I hate to say this, but maybe he's just being too honest for his own good. Because I feel like a lot of politicians would be like, yeah, we don't care where that came from. Shh, this never happened, guys. We're just going to use this. I just don't have faith that politicians are just that good-natured for the most part, that they're just going to go to the FBI and be like, look what a foreign country sent me on someone who I'm trying to beat in an election.
Well, I don't know, but there are, in that same interview, he points to Adam Schiff and Mark Warner and says that they received calls from Russian Foreign Intelligence officers, and they didn't go to the FBI with that information. Although the actual facts of that is that Schiff was pranked by a Russian, like, shock jock radio program. and
did they get him to say Trump blows?
And called the FBI when he knew the call was going to come in. Before they even talked to these guys, he was like, something's fishy about this, and contacted the FBI beforehand. And then there was another one where, Mark Warner was contacted by a foreign agent of some sort, and then he immediately called the FBI. So this is, I mean, I'm not saying that, there aren't people who just get information from weird sources and don't say peep about it and hope they don't get caught with it. I'm sure it happens on both sides. But this is the president just flat out saying it's not illegal, and I'd do it again.
Chris will get this reference. I don't know if you will, Aaron. That's very Bill Belichick of him.
Yeah.
That's like, I'm not breaking the rules. I'm just bending them right to the point where it's ready to snap. But I haven't broke the rules.
Yeah, he walks up to the line all the time. Yeah, so it's... personally, when I heard this, I was just, maybe it's just a byproduct of the last few years. I was just, whatever, that's Trump being Trump. It's just more bluster, more big talk, firing up the base.
And by the way, the reason that I was such a stickler about the again word is because I remember last episode, you said he had tweeted out something. Like
he tweeted out the fact that he said that he had no input on Russia helping him to get elected, which I don't think he realized at the time. Phrasing it that way points out the fact that he believes that Russia did in fact help him, which is something that he's contested for the last 2.5 years, or 3.5, depends on who you're asking. Apparently when you have Sarah Huckabee Sanders on staff, it feels like 3.5. When you have to come into the love child of, what was it? Kathy and
Forrest Whitaker.
And Forrest Whitaker. That fucking Debbie Downer.
Shit, her eyes look like she smoked a blend of sativa and indica. And she can't decide if she wants to go to sleep or clean the house.
But before we move on to that, actually, though, as far as the comments that Trump has made, there have been Republicans who have spoke out about this, but nobody's willing to talk directly to the president or take any action directly to him. I mean, it's like Trump is Debo, and they're all like, when Trump comes around, I shut up, but when he leaves, I'd be talking again. Like, you all got a whole lot to say when Trump isn't looking. A bunch of spineless assholes. But yeah, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I mean, she has to just realize that she's doing nothing, right? She is handed a bunch of lies to tell people, and then the person that she's supposed to be speaking for tweets out the exact same opposite an hour later.
Yeah, so if I'm her, I'm like, what's my job again? Because you're doing it for me.
Yeah, he absolutely is. I mean, there's been less and less actual press conferences. We've seen less and less of Sanders. I mean, I would guess she does more TV appearances than she does actual press conferences.
What if she's the one sending the tweets? She's the tweet writer. Probably not.
No, I forget who it was. He's got an official tweeter. This guy, it's kind of like his right-hand man. I think it used to used to be his gardener or his golf caddy or something like that.
The fuck?
Yeah.
That's a come up like a motherfucker. You went from landscaping for Trump to being the president's official tweeter. Of course, it's stupid that a president has an official tweeter, but still.
It's Rich. Most people don't have a stomach for the type of ass kissing that it would take. It's not really that hard to impress Trump. I mean, if he's you golf caddy, first of all, then you just fucking fudge all his scores. Tell him he looks fantastic.
Yep. Hold on one, sir.
Constantly praise the man, and he's going to be like, that guy's actually pretty smart. It's just most people aren't willing to debase themselves in that fashion.
It's like when Mr. Burns was playing in the golf tournament.
Yeah, fine shot, sir.
Yeah, kissing Trump's ass in his mind means you're smart. That's a terrifying thought. Because he's surrounding himself with he's got the smartest people around him. No one has smarter people, so you have the best kiss asses. Got it. Great, wonderful. I mean, we've known that about him, but
only the best sycophants.
Oh God, Jesus! Come on, Democrats, get your shit together. We got to get this idiot out of here.
Dude, there's 20 of them. I don't see that happening.
I know. I'm really worried that it's going to be 4 more years of Trump, man. I really am. But that's we'll save that for a few months down the line. Let's not fucking drag the fucking podcast down that fucking road. We still got a ways to go before we got to start planning the funeral.
Well, if he's going to be a one-term president, then he better get his war in quick, because that's got to happen at some point, and we all know who they're looking at.
Oh, isn't Walrus Man beating the war drum for him?
Yep, it's like Bush 2 all over again. And God damn it if we aren't going to fall for it again.
What happened to the days of, I have a lot of older Republicans in my family, and anytime something about war and politics was brought up, they would say, "Oh, these Democrats are warmongers."
Warmongers?
Really? Yeah, they're the ones that get us in all these wars. Really? Okay, from post-Vietnam, what wars have Democrats got us into?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, where have they been?
No, usually they're the ones we're criticizing for not taking enough action.
My history book says Lyndon Johnson was the last Democrat president to get us into a war.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and if you're going to argue that we shouldn't have went into World War II, well, you're on your own on that one. I mean, we sat that out as long as we absolutely could before it was like, oh shit.
That war came to us.
And I'm not just talking necessarily about Pearl Harbor. I'm just saying, like, they were like, oh, Hitler ain't stopping. He's just going to keep rolling. Shit. We thought he'd just take over a few countries and we'd just be like, okay, cool. Whoops. But no, I mean, if you want to argue that there's, Democrats who have perpetuated, situations that the Republicans set up as far as war or bombings or drone strikes, well, you can't really argue those facts. I mean, Obama's got that reputation for a reason. Clinton, anytime anything about a blowjob come up, had no problem bombing some country. So,
which is just more reactionary politics. Like, I can't be seen as soft on war because the opposition likes to portray me as soft on war.
Exactly. Oh God.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
The Jaguar I-Pace is setting the pace for electric vehicles. Winner of the 2019 World Car of the Year, World Green Car of the Year, and World Car Design of the Year. To celebrate this treble win, we're offering €3,000 off all Jaguar models, plus a free 3-year service plan. Set the pace. Book your test drive today at Conlon's Jaguar Nace. Offer available until the 31st of August.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
Basically what we're talking about is the 2 Japanese tankers that were attacked. And Aaron, you said that it's basically who is I just brain fart. Walrus Man's real name, Mr. Mustache.
John Bolton.
Bolton, thank you. Yeah, Reese Bolton. His banner's the flayed man. Yeah, I mean he's basically saying, hey, look, we know who it is, right? It's Iran, right? Right? So what are we waiting for?
That's what Pompeo is saying too. Yeah, so 2 explosions happen on these tankers. They're not saying if they know exactly what happened, whether they were torpedoed or whether it was a bomb planted, but the fact that it happened off of Iranian shores.
Actually, they did say it was a torpedo or projectile. That wasn't the story that I read. What was it, the Post or the Times?
An actual projectile. Well, I wonder what other... Well, I guess you could fire an air projectile down at a ship. It's feasible, but yeah, I guess it seems like it would be a torpedo, wouldn't it? So, yeah, I mean, they're assuming because of proximity, I guess, that it's Iran. And, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't make sense for Iran to do this. I don't see what they would be accomplishing. Pompeo is saying that it's because they are trying to get the U.S. to ease off of sanctions. The sanctions that we have as far as, mainly what types of materials Iran can import to produce nuclear weapons. Well, they can produce nuclear fuel, but weapons absolutely not.
Weren't the sanctions on their oil? I thought that's what I was reading. That we shut down, we put sanctions on them exporting their oil. Mm-hmm. And that's what they're pissed about.
They're pissed about both, yes. Both things are true. We put sanctions on their oil, and we put limits on what they can do with nuclear power as far as actually enriching uranium to the point where it could be weaponized.
It's interesting that I'm sitting here reading an article that there's been nobody from Pompeo to United States military to anybody from the United States has presented any evidence to support this claim, and Iran has flatly denied responsibility for any of the attacks, including the 4 tankers that were attacked last month, which the U.S. also blamed on Iran.
Right, because it happened off the shore of Iran. And
do you believe them?
Do you believe
is the country that you were pointing out, Aaron, that all of their neighbors hate them?
Yeah. Do I believe Iran? No, not necessarily.
Yeah.
I don't believe the U.S. or any other country in that area either, necessarily. I think you just have to look at what's the gain, what would be the motivation to do this. I'm no expert in geopolitics, but I don't see where Iran would be coming from if they thought that these actions would get the U.S. to ease up on them. What country would think that would be? I mean, countries have, and it's
my whole thing is
to provoke them into full-on war. And
why does the most peaceful part of the world?
Why would Iran want to go to war with the U.S.?
This isn't exactly the most peaceful part of the world, though. That whole half of the world.
So that point,
a shit show for the last.
So why does that point to Iran? And what do they have to gain from going to war with the U.S.? Why would they want to go to a war with the U.S.?
They could start exporting their oil again?
That would that would definitely hinder their oil exports. That would put a major crimp in that hose, possibly for the foreseeable future.
You asked why. I didn't say just again, we're talking with irrational people here.
No, we're talking about what the administration is putting out there as the explanation.
So I guess you've been dancing around it. Do you think this is a setup by us?
No, I don't know that it's a setup by us. I think it's a setup by somebody, and it's going to be used as an excuse by us or the Trump administration.
And this
but I'm not trying to dance around it at all. I'm just examining the facts as we know them.
Well, the attack came, I guess, just a few hours before Japan's prime minister was supposed to meet with their Ayatollah about easing the standoff between the two countries. And
why would you take that meeting and then torpedo a couple of tankers? You could.
And
why wouldn't you just say no?
Japan's prime minister was also looking to work as a mediator between the U.S. and Iran, but says
so
Ayatollah Khamenei, thank you, dismissed Prime Minister Abe's effort, dismissed Mr. Abe's effort, which is the Prime Minister, darkening prospects. Excuse me. Damn, I'm just fucking up all over the place, aren't I? Darkening aspects for dialogue. We do not believe these words at all because honest negotiation will not come from an individual such as Trump. Right. That's what he said on Iranian state television.
So I can't put together a scenario where Iran would do this and think it would work out to their benefit. Maybe it was rogue agents from Iran, non-governmental. I don't know. But if we want to look at who does have motivation, I think Israel is a fine candidate to look at. Because Israel is an ally of the U.S., certainly, absolutely no ally, an enemy outright of Iran. I mean, I don't think who's to say, I'm not going to get into the whole history of it, but if we just look at recent history, Iran has been very aggressive towards Israel and openly saying things like, we should just wipe them off the planet. So if Iran gets their hands on nuclear weapons, they're going to be pointed at Israel.
And maybe
Israel, if Iran and the U.S. start getting along and the U.S. starts to trust Iran enough to let them, possibly actually, manufacture nuclear weapons, or just relax the sanctions enough and the oversight enough to the point where they could do it on the sly, that's bad news for Israel. So this would be a twofer then. You blow up a couple tankers in, by the way, a fashion which allows everybody to escape unharmed. You've made your message. You've destroyed the valuable commodity, but yet actually lost no lives in the process. And so you get the attention of the U.S. by attacking one of their allies, and you directly attack somebody who's looking to work as an intermediary to come to, a peaceful coexistence between U.S. and Iran. Israel has no interest in seeing a peaceful coexistence with Iran or any other country because Iran doesn't see a peaceful coexistence with Israel.
See, that's what makes me think that, and maybe I'm wrong here. Like I may be talking out my ass. It seems like Iran is the type of country that if they did attack, they would be like, "You damn right we attacked." And I mean, I just
that's another thing. If it is the government saying we are protesting your sanctions and your limiting of our technology, then why aren't they owning it?
I mean, it's like when whenever there's a terrorist attack, some group takes responsibility for it. When there's a terrorist attack and a group starts denying responsibility for it, makes me go, wait a minute. Usually they jump at the chance to take responsibility for anything they can. Yeah, we did that. Yeah, fear us, because that's the whole point of terrorism is to create fear. And so it seems like they would be.
And a lot of these terrorist attacks are government funded. That is just the arm that they use to do that. That's just the tool that they use. Like a shell corporation. They can secretly fund a terrorist organization. They can go out, cause havoc. They can be responsible, and then you can just go, I have no control over these guys. They're crazy.
Yeah, I mean, even the U.S. does.
Plausible deniability.
We had private contractors over there fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, Blackwater. They weren't beholden to the Geneva Convention and everything that sworn troops are. So they were out there playing the game for themselves, essentially, as long as they didn't get too crazy with it. I mean, it's mercenaries. That's basically what they are. I mean, they're committing acts of terror, but they're mercenaries committing acts of terror. So I don't.
Right. Look,
it just doesn't add up.
It's all within the realm of possibility. This could be Iran. This could be rogue agents in Iran. It could be Israel. It could be the U.S. Honestly, it could be just about anybody looking to start shit.
And isn't that the best way?
If you're going to start an investigation and look at things and try and figure out what actually happened, you go with the stories sometimes that make the most sense.
But isn't that the best way to start this type of shit? To have an attack that it could be just anybody, and then immediately get people start beating the drums of war, going, "We know it's Iran. Go after them," while passions are still flared and high.
Well, right. It's kind of like saying, the assassination of Franz Ferdinand started World War I. But the assassination of Franz Ferdinand was the final inciting incident in a world that was primed for a war. It wasn't everyone was sitting around having lunch and they all heard that Ferdinand got shot and picked up arms.
It was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right. And in this case, we are primed. As far as our administration is concerned, they seem to be looking for a war, and they think they can find that in Iran.
What if it's Russia? What if Russia hit those ships? Oh man,
that's another possibility. Russia would have more to gain from that.
Wow, cool. we are deep down the rabbit hole wearing the tinfoil hats.
I don't put a lot of faith in the idea that it's our own government doing this, honestly. I'm not going to be one of those guys. I'm not going to say it's impossible because we know that's not true. But that's I don't. That's not my primary theory on this, is that the U.S. did it in order to have an excuse to go to war.
Well, let's just, for shits and giggles, let's take the U.S. perpetuated the attack off the table. Okay. Now, do you think it's past the U.S. to exploit this attack? To get us into a situation?
That's exactly what they're doing. Exactly. I think that's the only fact that I know, is that whoever's responsible for this, they are exploiting it, not the Trump administration being they.
I mean, we kind of went through this after 9/11. 9/11, we get attacked, and then all of a sudden the Bush administration starts going, "Hey, did you hear what Saddam said? Hey, Bush, Saddam's talking shit about you." And Saddam's like, "What? My friend, I'm not talking shit. I have nothing to do with 9/11. Like, what did he say? I'm going to fuck him up.
He said 9/11, get him.
You're gay and your mama's fat, America.
Oh, God.
Meanwhile, what is it? Like, majority of the hijackers came from Saudi Arabia? Nothing.
No, when we grounded every flight in the U.S., we sent them off on private jets back to their own country, the royal family that was over here. Like, we were like, no, you can leave. Go ahead. Believe me, you'll have plenty of room in the sky because we've grounded every fucking flight that's commercial besides this one. Go ahead. Have a good time. So, yeah, it's...
Well...
That's the fucked up part about shit like this. Nothing is, like you said, nothing is out of the realm of possibility. And that's what makes it so scary, because we may never know.
Well, just watch, though, because there's going to be two drum beats that are going to be in sync. They're going to be so in the pocket. The drum beat for impeachment and the drum beat for war against Iran. And the harder the drum beat for impeachment and the faster that rhythm gets, the war for Iran drum is going to go just as hard and fast.
I'm picturing Bolton leading the charge like that guitar player from Fury Road. You know what I'm saying? That was
the flaming guitar.
Yes, and then they had the war drums behind them on the big tanker, and it was like, lead the charge, go. I just picture him like,
honestly,
let's get Iran.
Yes, if we must go to war, that is how we should do it. Strap the generals to fucking fronts of semi trucks and lead the fucking charge. Say, this is what you wanted. You're the most gung-ho.
Can we send Mel Gibson dressed as Mad Max over there?
Here's your can of silver spray paint. Go to town, buddy.
Yeah, we'll witness you. Go ahead. Go ahead,
buddy. You look nice and shiny from here.
I live, I die, I'm born again in Valhalla. Yeah, okay, whatever. We'll just get on the front of that tanker, asshole. Oh, God. It would be a lot easier if it's like, okay, Trump, you want a war? Okay, cool. Send Trump, and all his very smart people with him, And then, we got your back, Trump. You're way back. We got your back so far. We're back over here in America. So you go ahead, have a good time. I mean, whatever. Jesus Christ. Just another fucking, just like a bucket of snakes all tangled up together is what this shit's looking like. And it's really scary. It's like, this is the world we live in, where we'll never know, but the conspiracy theories. If we're dipping a toe into this water, if you go to like Alex Jones' website and all the usual suspects, they are fucking rock hard about this right now. And misinformation is going to be flying, speculation, accusations without any basis in reality. And it's just the world we live in at this point.
Yeah. I mean, they're not even pulling out like, we've got some secret information that we can't divulge, or, we actually have this communication that proves that this was the Iranians or whatever. They don't even need to, right? They just state what they believe to be fact. And Alex Jones and his crew will set about making that true, concocting a story that supports the politicians' claims, and then, like Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail, the politicians will watch that and then start spouting out those lines. I mean, we see it happening directly with Fox News and our president.
Hey, breaking news as of like 15 minutes ago, there's allegedly video that shows an Iranian Navy boat removing an unexploded mine attached to the hull of the Japanese-owned chemical tanker.
So
it shows. Wait. It shows an Iranian.
I'm reading
Navy
it's from
boat.
It's from CNN. I will just read the first paragraph.
Go ahead.
The United States military on Thursday released a video that says it shows an Iranian Navy boat removing an unexploded mine attached to the hull of the Japanese-owned chemical tanker Kokura Courageous.
And when was this video taken? Like, is this before the
this
explosion?
News story came out like 15 minutes ago. Let's see. In the video, a smaller boat is shown coming up to the side of the tanker. An individual stands up on the bow of the boat and can be seen removing an object from the tanker's hull. The U.S. says that object is likely an unexploded mine.
Which would be a limpet charge, because
Were they removing this from the ship that had already been attacked?
Yes.
Okay.
Here, I'll send it to you guys in the chat just so you can have the...
Nope, I'm not going to read it.
Okay. Well, it's got the video with it, for what it's worth.
And we released it. The U.S. released it, correct?
Yeah, there's so much language in here. Like, it says likely and maybe, like...
Yeah, I'm not sure what the video would tell us, because, I mean, they removed an unexploded device. Does that mean that they knew where it was, that they put it on there? Or were they just like, hey, this is probably what did it? Hey, look, guys, one of them didn't blow up.
I mean, it is interesting, like I said, if it is a limpet charge, you set those in the water and they attach to the hull, then they explode, which means that wasn't like something. That's not something, as far as I understand, that's not something you launch and it travels to the target. That's something that sits there. You have to put there ahead of time and waits for the target. So if that's the case, then there is without a doubt if they were hit with torpedoes and projectile explosives this was a very well coordinated, thought out, pre-planned situation. This wasn't just...
Wait, we don't know all of that. I mean, actually, this points more towards the idea that it was explosives and not a torpedo or projectile.
Well, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that one was attacked with what they believe was a torpedo because there was a hole at the waterline of the tanker, and the other was attacked with torpedoes and other propelled explosives. So if that's the case, then that's what I'm getting at, is that there was more than one type of weapon being used against these tankers. It was... Or
just none of these stories add up.
I think what we've really drilled down on here is nobody knows what the fuck's going on.
It just keeps getting fishier, though. It's not a straightforward message.
By this time tomorrow, Alex Jones will have grafted out the magic torpedo theory, how it stopped, did a 90-degree turn, stopped, waited 2 seconds, did another 90-degree turn, and he'll make sure that the video of him pointing that out and diagramming that out is bookended by him selling you his survivalist gunk so you can survive when the shit hits the fan.
Right. The Israelis have sharks with laser beams mounted on their frickin' heads.
Frickin' sharks with frickin' laser beams.
That's what did it.
I almost wouldn't be mad. I'd be like, that's awesome.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
I mean, where are our versions of that? Seriously. Can we attach it to an elephant or something? Oh, God. Good times.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, maybe this will all blow over. Doubtful.
Well, isn't it kind of the scary thought that by this time next week, this story will have ran its course? It'll be out of the forefront of the public's mind. But you know that the gears behind the scenes are still going to be chewing up this story. It's still going to be very much at the forefront of people who, you know, make decisions about what happens because of this situations. And then what?
Well, I mean, honestly, we should hope that the Republicans can make enough meat out of this because, you know, instead of starting a war and then hoping to win a re-election campaign based on the idea that you got to finish what you started, maybe just the idea that, like, oh, you need a tough Republican because who else is going to deal with these guys, these crazies in the Middle East? Maybe that's enough. And I should hope that that's enough for their base and that they don't have to send people in to die needlessly in a war just to secure a re-election.
Well, I'm always a little, more than a little, let me stop lying. I'm always very much a skeptic of someone who never seen war, seen combat, but who talks about sending other people to go fight a war for them at the drop of a hat. And Trump fits that bill to a T. That is what they call a chicken hawk in the military. That is someone who didn't have the balls to get here and do the job, but they want to fucking use you like their own personal army.
Well, I don't know if he's completely like that because while he's been openly dismissive of those who have served, and certainly he hasn't served himself, he doesn't seem especially hawkish in office. I'm sure he can be swayed, and certainly if, you know, they show him the right poll numbers, he can be swayed. But as of this point, he's not talking that tough on actually going to war with Iran or any other country.
Yeah, but are we forgetting that he was talking all that we'll rain down upon North Korea with fire and destruction like they've never seen before him and License to Ill got together and started talking?
Yeah, but
I mean,
that was actually in reaction to the crazy shit. I mean, he didn't start that one.
Yeah, but you know, he didn't exactly go, okay, little man, whatever. That's nice. You're cute.
To me, that was one of the watershed moments, though, of where I say it's just Trump being Trump. To me, that's like one of the first things. Like a lot of talk, but when it came down to it, he didn't do shit.
Yeah.
All sizzle, no steak.
Yeah, and that's kind of like that's where I'm at with this guy. He talks a big game, but when it comes time to do shit,
spineless.
Yeah. I mean, well, look at the tariffs. Last week we were talking about the tariffs, and what happened? I hate to do. I called it, but someone got him in a room that knew what the fuck they were talking about. Went, no, do not do this. It will be bad. And all of a sudden, 2 days later, oh yeah, we're gonna roll back.
No, it's exactly what happened because once somebody convinced him that it was a bad idea, then priority one became, okay, how can we explain how Trump solved this problem instead of saying that he's backing down from the tariffs? And so they trotted out a 2-month-old agreement that they had already made privately with Mexico and said, oh, well, look at this. Just in the nick of time, here's the solution. Guess my plan worked.
Yeah, it's been entertaining for all the wrong reasons.
Well, Trump is a master of creating a problem that out of nothing at all, and then solving it, and then taking a victory lap. I mean, how much shit does the shit with the tariffs is a prime example. That was pure fuckery on his end, and then he's going to take a victory lap. I solved it. You see, like you said, Aaron, it worked. What are we doing? You're the one that started the shit. You didn't solve anything.
Right. You put the batteries in the remote backwards, and now you want to take credit for fixing the TV.
Yeah, but too, isn't he? But you think maybe he's playing on our short attention span as a group? Like, yeah, as long as I solve the problem, they'll forget that I started it.
Well, his base definitely has the worst case of short-term amnesia I've ever seen. I mean, they can't remember what was said 2 days ago. They just go off of whatever news outlet that they choose to be brainwashed by tells them to believe at that moment. That's just how that goes. I mean, that's his base. He knows that. He knows who to play up to.
That's what he does all the time. So, all right.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
Sometimes you've just got to get some quality me time. Like right now, when you get away for a few hours to Kildare Village, because we've got hundreds of new arrivals, including new boutiques like Sandro and Maj. Escape to Kildare Village and get front row ready for a new season with a new look and a new smile on your face. A little me time goes a long way at Kildare Village, where there's something extraordinary every day.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
ChristopherMedia.net.
Unregimented.
All right, yeah, enough about Trump. What else is going on?
Rich, I think you had a story that you wanted to bring up about Detroit Public Schools.
Yeah, there was a story on Detroit Today the other day about a lawsuit that was brought up against Detroit Public Schools that's now in front of the U.S. Court of Appeals. I think that's originally it was filed in 2016 and 2018. A judge in Michigan ruled that the lawsuit had no validity. The lawsuit was basically students filing a class action lawsuit against Detroit Public Schools saying that due to social promotion and poor conditions and lack of funding, that they weren't getting the bare minimum education that they were supposed to have. You know, essentially high school kids given diplomas and graduating who are reading at a second, third grade level. A judge last year ruled that a right to literacy is not a constitutional right, and now it's hit the U.S. Court of Appeals. That in and of itself is interesting, but there's a lot of other things surrounding it that I think is worth talking about. One of which is, I understand suing to hold someone responsible, but ultimately, aren't you suing and going to end up, if you win, taking money away from the people that are already underfunded? And that's a large part of the problem of why this situation has came to pass. Mm-hmm. And if you are a supporter of Detroit Public Schools and public schools in general, and you don't want to see Detroit overrun with charter schools, this seems to me to be counterintuitive and counterproductive, because if you take more money out of Detroit Public Schools coffers, that's just going to give charter schools a chance to step in and fill the void. Even though, depending on what news source you go to, basically, if it seems like if a news source leans to the right, they support charter schools and they say that they're more effective than public schools. If a news source leans to the left, they say there's minimal difference between test scores. We're at our favorite impasse in today's society you have to make a choice who you want to believe along party or political lines.
But fuck test scores. Let's talk graduation rates.
Well, that also comes down to like any area. You could have stronger public schools or you could have stronger charter schools. You just have to do a little bit of research and find out where you're sending your kids.
Yeah.
It's not really an answer that's simple enough to say charter schools are bad or charter schools are good. I mean, I think when you have especially a public school system like Detroit's that's been just historically mismanaged, if not corrupt at times, and has been consistently putting out bad results. I think that is a strong argument for having actual competition.
I think you need that. If you live in Detroit, you need that option because DPS does not, like you said, does not have the most sterling reputation. And Rich, we talked to your friend a few months ago. He did not paint a very good picture of Detroit public schools.
It's also possible too. I know that when we talk about lawsuits in respect of suing organizations, we think of that as monetary lawsuits, and I'm sure they have set a number on it. But it doesn't mean that you can't have a win and still not be awarded cash, still not take any money from the public school systems. I mean, would that be as effective? Maybe not.
Well, if they come to a settlement and the school system puts it down legally in a settlement that they're going to implement certain programs to make sure that this doesn't happen to the best of their ability, because you can't guarantee that every student that comes through a school's doors, I don't care if it's a private school, a public school, a charter school, it does not matter, that they're going to walk out of there with the best education they can get, because it is on the student. Certainly. A lot of it is on the student. And that is one of the things that it really irks me about a lot of people who, when we talk about a school system like Detroit Public Schools, they don't want to put any blame on the student. They'll put it everywhere else before they will finally get down to, well, the students have to take an interest in their own education as well.
Yeah.
And I mean,
but they're kids, right? They have to have an environment that encourages them, not, because I'm sure there are students that are just either self-driven or, motivated by their family or something outside of school that manage to still strive and make the best of these poor school districts. But you're not going to get your average student that way. You're not even going to give them a chance. All kids are going to be, they want to do other shit, right? Because they're fucking kids. So they have to be inspired somewhat to actually be in school and participate.
How about by mom and or dad? Is that still an evil phrase to bring up?
No, but is that your solution for poor schools? That we should continue to let them be poor and just strengthen the parents' participation in their education?
Well, the problem...
you're right, but it's not an argument for what we're talking about.
No, but when you say poorer schools, let's be clear, they're in poorer areas, but Detroit Public Schools probably gets the most money thrown at it from the state because it's the biggest district in the state. If they're mismanaging the money, that is a different issue.
Well, yeah, but once again, if there's a mismanagement of funds, that's not on the teachers, the students, the parents, and the people that are mismanaging the funds are going to do their best to get the light off of them and shine it on the teachers, the students, and parents, and go, it's not us, it's them. Look at them. Because they don't want the light, coming in and shining on the dirt they're doing behind the scenes.
Like, isn't this a school system that had 2 superintendents in a row indicted for embezzlement?
I believe so.
Like, consecutively. Like, the one that relieved the one that got embezzled.
I mean, to me, the scariest part of this lawsuit is that you have students going to school, graduating with diplomas that aren't worth the paper they're printed on when it comes to their education. And then they go out into the world and do what? I mean, if you can't read, but at a 3rd grade level, You think your options are limited with just a high school diploma? Okay, what about a high school diploma where they hand you a job application and you're sitting there reading, moving your lips with every word you're reading, mispronouncing half the words, and sounding like literally a kid in third grade who's asked to read out loud, sounding out everything.
Now we're getting into the why the lawsuit was filed. Because, I mean, that means you have failed these kids. You have failed them. You have sent them out into the real world, ill-prepared for it. You have failed these kids.
And, Chris, you were on the show and Adam was on. Adam will work with students. But, I mean, he just was talking about how he has students. He had a student come up to him who has turned in one assignment all fourth quarter, has a 12% grade average. And he comes in today and wants makeup work to boost his grade. And he looked at him and he goes, "Are you serious? Why don't you try showing up to class and doing your work? Like, you can't come in at the last minute and say, bail me out of this, teach. That's not how this works." And you know that he's not a blame the kid first type person. You talk to him for 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are kids that you're not going to be able to help. I have a lot of friends who said, if I'd have known then what I know now, I'd have paid attention in fucking school. And I'm like, oh, I bet you would have.
But this is school. This isn't fucking boot camp. You're not expecting a certain percentage to wash out.
You shouldn't expect a certain percentage to wash out.
Right.
And if you do, it should be like 1% due to crazy extenuating circumstances, not Johnny can't read, so Johnny ain't graduating. It's very telling. And the problem is that there isn't any one solution. There's no black and white. One solution fix all this.
In particular is a catch-22 because, like you're saying, you want to hold them responsible, but if you take funds away from them in order to hold them responsible, then how does that do anything to help solve the problem? But on the other hand, what is your recourse? This is the system that we have for an individual, especially an individual, to seek recompense upon from an organization or a corporation or the government. That's the only way we have of doing this.
Yeah, and there is an unsavory element that's going to go, well, wait a minute. Why are these kids suing the school district? You expect to get paid because you didn't get an education? You should have tried harder.
Right.
It's the type of people
the judge rules like, oh, the school said they do better, so you all got to go back to school for more years.
It's the same as people, you don't want to get beat by the cops? What? You shouldn't have broke the law in the first place. And it's like, wait a minute, breaking the law does not mean you automatically get your ass beat by the police.
No, as a matter of fact, that's illegal.
Yeah, So, don't try to draw a line between the minute you commit the most minor of crime equals ass whooping from the police on a wholesale level. And if that's how you do feel, you're a fucking bootlicker, you piece of shit.
Right.
And I hope,
if they would have yanked OJ out of that Bronco and beat his ass, America probably would have cheered him on. Well, portions of America.
How dare you say that on the 25th anniversary, Aaron?
And say,
actually, I think it was yesterday.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think the best thing that could come out of this lawsuit, if it ultimately it's ruled in the student's favor, is for there to be some change at the school district level. But I can't even sit here in front and act like I know what the change should be. I really can't.
The change would have to be more money, which means that you would have to have more people paying taxes, which means that you would have to have more citizens certainly in the city than you have now, and more of them fully employed. Yeah, I mean, this is a result of Detroit becoming unsustainable. It's a very large city. Still has a shit ton of people in it, but nowhere near the amount that it used to, and nowhere near the amount of taxpayers.
Yeah, some of the most dire predictions for next year's census is saying that they're thinking Detroit will hit the 500,000.
Yep.
Oh my God! I didn't know.
They're going to. If you've watched the patterns the last the last 2-3 censuses, they lose 250,000 people. Like the last, the big news about the 2010 was the first time Detroit's had under 1 million people, went to 750,000. The census before that, it was, we're down to 1.5 million, like, or 1.25 million. It's just following And then I bet you in 10 years from now, they're going to be talking about there's only 250,000 people living in there if they don't make any changes.
That is a scary thought for a city that in the last 100 years was referred to as the Paris of the Midwest.
But hey, doesn't the lottery give all this money to schools?
Yeah. And all the gas tax and the money from the casinos go towards fixing the roads.
Yeah, it's all your guys' fault for not gambling enough.
God damn it, I go buy some scratch-offs and scratch my guilty conscience away.
They're called scratchers, all right?
Actually, the funniest shit I ever heard them referred to was by Kevin Smith on one of his Q&A sessions. He was talking about buying a bunch of them in Jersey, and they call them rub-offs out there. And I'm like, that means something different in Michigan.
Hey,
if you say I got some rub-offs, you got multiple hand jobs? Cool.
Yeah.
Where are they handing them out?
Plural?
But I mean, it is, that's another problem. I mean, even with the students they have there, I mean, it was a bleak part of the episode. Yeah, I know you weren't on it, Aaron, but it was a bleak part of the episode when we were talking about count day with Adam. And it was like, wow. So the rumors I've heard for all these years that they bribed the kids to come in on count day, those are absolutely true.
Oh, yeah, yes, sir. I've had to make food for count days. Absolutely. Yeah, they bring them food they never get in the school. They like raffle off like PlayStations and shit. Oh yeah. They do one in the fall and one in the spring, and it determines their funding.
I mean, I'm not saying this is how it should be, but you know what my motivation to go to school was? Do you want your ass beat for the whole time you're supposed to be at school? Because I will take the day off and whoop your ass for 8 hours straight.
Yeah, mine was, do you like breathing? And you will go to school.
Pretty much. It was like, yep, okay, I'll go to school then. Not a problem. So and I mean that's it. Lack of money. Even if they threw a ton of money at the situation, that in and of itself isn't just going to solve the problem. Because I mean, I think it's fair to say at this point, for every $3 that goes into DPS, one is going into somebody's pocket. I mean, looking at their history, at least,
another's going up somebody's nose.
Well, I mean, if you're an 18-year-old girl
and gets flushed down the toilet.
If you're an 18-year-old girl and you graduate from DPS and you can only read at a third grade level, you're going to be swinging around that pole. So I guess if they go support the former students that way, here you go. Here's the money I should have spent on your education. Let me tuck it in your G-string there. Dynasty.
Wouldn't it be Mercedes? Don't strippers name themselves after things they want to buy?
For every 20 tax dollars that goes to Detroit Public Schools, $1 goes into the G-string of a former student.
Yeah, and if it's things they want to buy, come here, 8-ball. I got $1 for you.
Part of our give back program.
We give till it hurts around here. Well, yeah, and I mean the other one was the fact that, and this isn't Detroit Public Schools, but it's a very smaller version of what DPS might be looking at to a certain extent. We have a city that's in the suburbs here, Inkster, and they just closed their school district. They send all their kids to the surrounding school districts in that city. Like
gave up.
Yeah, like a lot of them go to Garden City, a lot of them go to Westland. I think Romulus might have picked up a percentage of them as well, like the people that live on the south side of Inkster. But yeah, I mean, they basically just said, get rid of Inkster school system, let the surrounding communities absorb them. And I mean, it's not just a major city issue. Benton Harbor on the west side of the state is looking at closing its only high school because they don't have the funding for it. They're looking at just mothballing it for a year and coming back to the situation after the 20 school year and seeing, can we open this high school again? I mean, imagine that, being a high school student going to that school you're going into your senior year and they shuffle you off to a completely different school where you don't know anybody. All the teachers that you've, made bonds with, gone. You have a whole new set of teachers. You're probably being bussed in and having to get up a lot earlier, getting home a lot later, which leaves you less time to do things like, homework or whatever the fuck you need to do. Even if you're a responsible student, it's going to be, it's going to take a toll on them. That's pretty sad that we were like, hey, we as adults can't figure out how to fucking fund this shit, so we're just going to basically pass the bullshit on to the kids to deal with.
Oh, no, we figured out how to do it. We just don't want to.
Oh, there's that too.
It's quite easy. You say yes to the millage. When the school says, we didn't have enough money to educate these kids, you go, well, then you must need more money because, oh, no, wait, we don't do that at all. We go, oh, quit wasting it then. You should be more thrifty with your money.
Well,
you don't get any more from us. We're not willing to pay that much for education.
That isn't an altogether bad thing when you're talking about, when you have politicians coming in going, if we want to fix the roads, we got to add a 45-cent gas tax. Wait a minute. You just added a 20 cents per gallon gas tax a couple of years ago against the wishes of the people of the state, by the way. Where the fuck did that money go? Where's the money that's supposed to go into fixing these roads? Why do we have to pay above and beyond now yet again? And are we going to be in this situation 5-10 years down the road where you're going, now we need a 60 cents per gallon gas tax?
The state Congress, just that thing went down in flames. They went, no, you are crazy. She proposed it.
It sounds like we're losing you, Chris. Are you hearing
you're
this,
breaking
Fritz?
up. Yeah, he's breaking up pretty bad.
Are you still there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. Yeah, we didn't catch any of that.
Just to say that gas tax went down in flames in the state legislature. You didn't
did
hear
it?
any of that, did you? Yeah. The state legislature went, no, sorry. Yeah. He proposed it. It got shot down.
This is something I've said. I have no problems paying the taxes if I see results with them. But when every 5 to 10 years, the same sob story comes from politicians, how we need more of your money because this time we're going to get it right. No. You need to start showing some results. At least make forward progress. How about that? And by forward progress, I'm not talking about they're now redoing the same stretch of Michigan Avenue that they redid 5 years ago. If you can't build a road that lasts for more than 5 years, then we got bigger problems. But we've also talked about that. We use the lowest grade concrete of any state in the nation. So,
yeah, the Motor City, ladies and gentlemen.
Absolutely,
we love our cars.
And have one of the worst public transit systems. But hey, we repainted and rebranded the buses in the suburbs. We call them fast buses now, and they got pretty new paint jobs. So don't you feel confident in your public transportation system that wasn't expanded one bit, but got a brand new makeover?
Did they
we have a 3-mile train on Woodward.
Paint some flames on the side of the buses. Makes it look like they're going faster.
They're black
speed lines on there.
They're black and red, and yes, I do think fast is leaned over as if to show speed, to indicate that it's giving some speed there. It's something affordable, safe transport, and I'm just like, really? So you just like Enron? Hey, our name is Doo-Doo. Hey, we're WorldCom now. Great, wonderful. Everyone trusts us again. Let's just rebrand the Smart Bus and call it fast and give it a paint job. There, we fixed the problem. How are we not in politics? Like, we're smart enough to work the grift in the system.
The same way that we have not integrity, rising from
values.
Trump's caddy to his personal Twitter handler.
We don't like a mouthful of orange cock?
Yeah, we don't. We will not debase ourselves to that degree.
I say we have integrity.
We'd rather
we have
do
values.
it on our own, right here on this podcast.
Every week we debase ourselves for your pure amusement.
For free, unlike politicians who do it for money.
Yeah, I think we need to propose a 40 cents per minute podcast tax.
Listening tax. Oh, wait. This just in, Rich. The listeners voted it down.
Yeah, this just in. All right. We have no downloads or streams for this episode. Oh, Christ. All right. Well, I mean, that's probably about as good of a note we're going to end it on, because this was kind of a serious episode. You guys want to go out?
It might need to bail before we lose Chris anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Hey, blame the hotel Wi-Fi. So, all right, this is where I remind you that we're on Unregimented Pod at Unregimented Pod on Twitter. You can check us out: Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And also, there's ChristopherMedia.net. Just want to cut out the middleman. There's a Amazon banner there. There's also a PayPal banner if you want to help us out. Also, I feel like we've begged enough for ratings. So if you feel the need, anywhere you can rate us and review us. Tell people about it if you like it. Help us out. Helps tell people that hey, you should give this podcast a shot. Other than that, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Later, guys.
Unregimented. ChristopherMedia.net.
Our business needs vans, lots of vans, and Europcar meets our day-to-day needs all across the country, providing our company with the ideal selection of small, medium or large vans and trucks, and even bespoke commercial vehicles delivered directly to our premises.
From our 22 nationwide locations, Europcar supplies Irish businesses with an unrivaled range of vans, 4x4 pickups, 4-seater commercial SUVs and double cab tippers. With 9,000 vehicles in our fleet, there's no demand we can't fulfill. Europcar, moving your way.
After a great start to the Euro 2020 qualifiers, the Republic of Ireland look to continue their 100% home record as they take on Switzerland on Thursday, September 5th at Aviva Stadium. Then on Tuesday, September 10th, we go again at Aviva for the 3 international friendly versus Bulgaria. Kick-off for both games 7:45. Show your support for the boys in green this September. Tickets on sale now starting at €20 from fai.ie/tickets. Booking fee applies.
ChristopherMedia.net.
If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
Dear Internet Radio listeners, it's me, the Dove, from your Friendship Dairies Cottage Cheese Tub. Not everyone knows this, but my rich, creamy cottage cheese not only has a fresh new package, but you can also get it in 3 different sizes: 8 ounce, 16 ounce, and 24 ounce. Or, as I like to call them, snack size, bigger snack size, and lunch size. So next time you're in the dairy aisle, look for my new look and grab every size just to be safe. Friendship Dairies. Love the Dove.
Hey, Cousin Sal here, bringing you an exclusive FanDuel Sportsbook offer for the big game. All new users are getting an exclusive 55-1 odds boost on either team to win the big game. Max bet $5. That means you could turn a $5 bet into $275 if your pick wins. Sign up today at FanDuel.com/Sal.
21 plus and present in New Jersey. New users only. Must wager on designated boost market. $10 first deposit required. Max bonus $275. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.